On this video, we'll talk about a pantograph that's a little more difficult than the previous version where I did simple pantograph. So I'm going to set up my machine so my quilt is 40 inches wide by 50 inches high. And remember, my quilt is actually 38 by 48, but I've set my widths a little bit more because I want my ending and beginning stitches to run off the quilt, so all the knots will be outside of the quilt. I have PowerPanto selected, and now I'm going to select a pattern. Sometimes not all patterns work with PowerPanto, so let's select these daisies, for instance. Excuse me. And see how when you call them in PowerPanto, there's a lot of white space here, a lot of empty space. And I'll take the grid off so you can actually see that a little bit better. And so if you were to stitch this out, this would be very puffy. So ways that you can avoid that are down here on the right, there's a column about flipping. And if you'll notice when you hover over each square, it tells you what is going to flip if you select it. And I would say just play around with these to see what they do. The first one I'm going to select is the second one to flip every other row. Now that helped a little bit. And then you could continue to flip other things and just keep playing with it until you get a look that you like. So I like that original one with every other row, but I would like my spacing to come together here a little bit. So I'm going to select, whoops, I want the vertical spacing to see how it's moving in. Some of them are moving on top of each other and you might not would want that. So you just keep playing around until you get something that you think will work on your quilt. And of course then the next thing is to click Sew in Zones. And then you'll want to save your pattern. Always save your pattern. I'll just call it Daisies. Oops. Okay. Save. And now it comes up with my first zone. And at this point you would move your machine to the middle of your quilt and then place your design right in the middle. And of course, just like on the previous version, you're going to pull your bobbin, move back, pull your bobbin to the top with your top thread, click Sew, and now you can cut that bobbin and top thread. Now, this particular pattern may not be the ideal pattern for you, but I just wanted to show how you can use those flip features to help you align the pattern better so that you don't have as much space in between. And you would just keep continuing to sew zone by zone until your pattern is complete.